times real, that's why my name's Trill. Three times real, that's why my name's Trill.
Hey, put your hands up, come on, put your hands up, put your hands up, shout it.
3 times real, that's why my name's Trill. Three times real, that's why my name's Trill.
Hey, put your hands up, come on, put your hands up, put your hands up, now I hop on the scene with some banging dope beats with a top notch.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is who's under more pressure to win the trilogy. Is it Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury? As you know, Deontay Wilder lost the rematch and had a draw in the first fight. If he loses the trilogy, his career may be up in the air. However, you have Tyson Fury in the trilogy after having a fight with Anthony Joshua already scheduled for August 14th for $155 million site fee, set, ready to go, and then bang, the arbitration ruling, and he easily gave in and said, I'm going to fight Deontay Wilder for a third time. So now we want to know who's under the most pressure to win the trilogy fight. Trill Dollar Bill, because you Trill, about a trilogy. Who's under the most pressure to win the fight?
I'd say both guys. I think it's pressure on both guys, extreme pressure on both guys. I know that seems like, yo, Trill, you're trying to, weasel your way on out of here. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to give you a reason why I think it is pressure on both parts, I think it's pressure on Wilder because all this pressure, you went into this thing saying that you wanted retribution, you didn't want no step aside money, you was wrong, and all this stuff. You know what it was? The reason why so much pressure on Wilder, and I wasn't going to do this because I said I wasn't going to talk that. I wasn't going to do this. But Wilder, I really liked Wilder. I rooted for Wilder every single fight he was in. I even rooted for Wilder against the first fight with Tyson Fury. Then after I seen what happened in that fight, I said, there's no way. And then the comment that he made, that I don't have to worry about boxing. I don't have to learn boxing because I have this big right hand. Once he said that, how I love this sport. I said, there's no way that he's going to beat this guy, Tyson Fury, in the rematch. There's no way. And he didn't. Wilder, instead of taking that on the chin, because I thought he was a warrior. People say that Caden doesn't like Wilder. He thought Wilder was a warrior. He didn't go down. He stood there still ready to fight. Even when they called off the fight, he still was coming forward. He still wanted to fight. We admired his heart. We was like, wow, he was ready to go out on this shield. Then the excuses came in. And every excuse that came in, it drained something out of me. Because I love this sport so much. Instead of saying, hey, yo, I lost. He came up, excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. The pressure is on you, not only as a man, as a fighter. For you making all these excuses, now you got to show and prove. Was it really that? The pressure's on you now to see if you was a fraud or not. Was you a paper champion or not? Because now we're starting to look at your resume. You see, we did the edits. We call it the audits, but I call it the edit because we edit out all the bull crap. And then your resume was looking shaky and it looked like you only been in there with a Tyson Fury and that's why you lost. And you threw technique and boxing out the window, and this is what the name of the sport is. It's called boxing. And you thought all you needed was that straight right hand, and that's where the criticism came from. And then you started disrespecting the sport, talking about you want to catch a body and do all this other stuff. That's when you started to lose me. But I've always rooted for you, always bought your fights. The pressure's on you now to see if you was really a fraud or not. Everybody's jumping out the window for you. Making all these excuses for you. It's time to see if was you a fraud or you a real fighter. All that pressure is on you, I think. There's a lot of pressure on him because you asked for this. You stopped a great fight that was about to go on. Maybe you was trying to play a little mind game too. Maybe you was trying to get us a little bit of money and you didn't think it was going to happen the way it happened. I don't know. I'm not around you. I just know you got to show and prove now because this is your opportunity. Even if you lose, it's how you lose now. It's going to be a lot of pressure on you to see that you just wasn't some fly. Because what he did to you that second fight, man, that was brutal. Tyson Fury, the reason why I say he's going to be under pressure, because it seemed like you just ducked the whole Joshua fight. You didn't even try to negotiate anything. While you was trying to get out. It seemed like y'all was trying to put so many obstacles in front of my man Eddie Hearn. And after every obstacle, Eddie Hearn climbed every obstacle, y'all still didn't want this fight. So you got to prove to me, like, where your heart at. Like, you have a lot of pressure now because if you lose, say if you get caught by this big right hand, this hundreds of millions of dollars is out the window. Because I don't think Deontay Wilder is going to be so anxious the next time around to give you a fourth time, even though I predicted that this might happen a fourth time because I think that these guys do not want no parts of AJ. When I said that, people gave me slack. But it's just proven. These guys will turn down all types of money. Life-changing money. Both these guys got life-changing money. It happened to both guys. Got a chance to make generational wealth. To be able to fight this young man, the robot. That's what they was calling him, right? Y'all got a chance to fight this guy who's so stiff, who can't box, who's all this and that. But y'all ain't trying to make that happen. Y'all turning it down, making excuses. I think both of these guys or the pressure's on both of these guys. Who's going to win? Who's going to stop ducking the young man AJ? And I don't even want to big up AJ. I'm sick and tired of AJ. Somebody said to me, like, yo, Trill, you're starting to be a fanboy for AJ. I know. I'm the one that predicted it. I'm the one that said it. Like, yo, I hate that I have to keep talking good about this kid because it's making me sound like a fanboy. I know. I'm here. I'm saying it. Gets frustrating after a while. You know what I'm saying? But the proof is in the pudding. It seems like these guys don't want to get in there with the kid. So they both, the pressure's on both of these guys. Who's going to finally step up to the plate and fight AJ? You know, they both, the pressure's on both of these guys to win and what they're going to do next.
All right.
Sorry for that long rant.
That's all right. Conspiracy.
I was still waiting for Trill to say which one is under more pressure, but I
hey, you let other people get away with it. Whatever you decide, Trill, I'm just going to hashtag you were right. Go ahead.
And I don't want to repeat what Trill's saying, but I'm going to use Trill's talking points, but I'm going to pick one. I'm going to say Tyson Fury. And the reason why Tyson Fury is under more pressure is because he had the potential of making $75 to $100 million. And if he loses to Deontay Wilder, that bag is gone. So that's a lot of money. That's big pressure to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is prize fighting. So, like, that's humongous pressure. You know,
You just say he don't care about money though. You
No.
just say he don't care about belts.
Oh, belts. I never say he didn't care about money. I say he don't care about the belt. Two different things. You know what I mean? And so, for a man to lose $100 million because he went to fight a guy who he said has no boxing skills just to make 20 to 30 million, bro, that's crazy, you know? So to me, Fury has to beat Wilder. Let's say Wilder does lose, right? I'm gonna be honest, it's bad, but it may not be as bad if Tyson Fury beats AJ, you know, because then it could be yo, Tyson Fury is just the best boxer that we have in this era, right? And then Wilder, people will look at Wilder a little differently if Tyson Fury beats AJ. But if AJ beats Fury, then it looks bad on Wilder. It will look bad. So it really depends.
I don't. Trill, you can go ahead, bro. I'm gonna let Trill.
It all depends. For another man's, nothing.
This is real. Like, think about this, right? Because right now we only seen Wilder get beat up one time by just one man, Tyson Fury. So if in the trilogy, Tyson Fury does the very same thing that he did in the rematch to Deontay Wilder, we already expect that. A lot of people expect that to happen, right? So now, if Tyson Fury does get the AJ fight and Tyson Fury does the same thing to Anthony Joshua, what happens is people can make the argument like, yo, he's just the best fighter. You know, of course Wilder's gonna lose. Let's see what he did to AJ.
So why doesn't that work for Tyson Fury, especially when you factor in that no one has beaten Tyson Fury yet? So even if Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury in the trilogy, Fury would have still already kicked his mother effing A all over the ring in the second fight. So Deontay Wilder goes now and he beats Anthony Joshua. So Tyson Fury can say the same thing. Well, I lost to the man who I also kicked his mother effing A too.
Okay.
So let's do it.
You ready for my answer? The difference is he lost $75 to $100 million. That's what I started off by saying. The amount of money that he's losing is the pressure. Because it's like, for me, what John Fury was saying is, bro, why are you going backwards and taking that risk of losing that bag? The bag is what's causing this pressure, at least for me. And if I was in Tyson Fury's camp or his management or, you know, his family members, I'd be like, yo, bro.
So I have a question for you then. Hey. Let's run the G hypothetical train now, because this is what. All right, so let's say Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury any way you like, one punch knockout in the first round.
Yep.
Okay, now Deontay Wilder goes and he fights Anthony Joshua, and he beats Anthony Joshua one punch in the first round. He did it to Fury and he just did it to Joshua. And now Fury goes, well, hey, man, you got one, I got one, we draw one, we got to do it a fourth time. How much money do you think would be in a Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, fourth fight for undisputed? You don't think that would make that fight even bigger?
No, wait a minute. It really depends. Because, again, if we're talking about ESPN and Fox, they might want it in the States. This fight is Saudi Arabia. And on top of that, we don't even know if Saudi Arabia will want to pick.
I'm going to ask you, in the States, you're trying to know.
No, I'm being...
Deontay Wilder, after knocking out Tyson Fury in the trilogy and knocking out Anthony Joshua to become undisputed heavyweight champion, gives Tyson Fury a fourth fight. Yep. How much money do you think that would generate?
Man, that's what I'm saying. It depends on where it's going to be located.
I guarantee you, it's going to generate more money than their first three fights.
Yeah, no, of course. But what I'm saying,
so is Fury really losing that much money, bro?
Yes, because what is
the reason why I was laughing too is about the money part too, because Deontay Wilder, you don't think he's under pressure to get that money back, which he lost?
Hold on, no. First and foremost, Deontay Wilder was never offered $75 to $100 million.
He was offered some M's
deal. He was offered a 3-fight deal
for $140 million.
One fight.
That's 100. Yeah,
3-fight deal for $140 million.
Yeah, I understand that, but Tyson Fury offered a huge bag for one fight. That's like, think about this, for one fight. So even if Tyson Fury lost, like AJ knocks out Tyson Fury got 100 million M's.
Yo, G, you're doing it again. Even if what you're doing though is you're negating to recognize that $140 million offer was before his fight with Tyson Fury, right? Okay. Now after the fight with Fury's stock rose, so did Deontay Wilder's. That's why whoever won the second fight was in a huge power play position. Okay, that's why they negotiated it the way they did for a third fight. And
Yeah.
what Trill is saying to you is fact. That off of beating Wilder, that's how Fury got that offer. 75 million just for the site fee alone.
Yeah.
Now, if Wilder would have won that fight, that would have been his value.
We don't know that.
So hold up.
We don't know that for sure.
So hold up. Even still, in winning the trilogy, Wilder would increase his stock to where he could be potentially offered the money that Fury was offered. And there's pressure on him to put himself back in a position to where he's valued at where Fury is currently valued right now. That's what Trill's saying.
And I get that. But however,
there's no pressure on Wilder to do that.
I never said that. I'm answering the question of more pressure.
Okay.
I'm saying, because that's why I said I agree with Trill's arguments on both sides. But I have to pick who has more pressure. And my deciding factor is the guy with the current contract or the current guarantee from Saudi Arabia of the $75 million to $100 million. That's, to me, that's the real pressure because that money is there. He spoke to the Prince. The Prince told him, yo, the money's guaranteed. So now Tyson Fury knows that bag is guaranteed, and out of nowhere, he has to deal with this trilogy thing. And if he loses the trilogy, he loses that bag. We don't know if Saudi Arabia will be invested in Wilder versus Adrian like that. We don't know. You know what I mean? And not to mention the different handlers. We don't know if Al Heyman has relationships with Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? There's a lot of politics that go into stuff. So what I'm saying is Tyson Fury if he loses, he just lost a guaranteed humongous bag. That's why I'm saying more pressure is on Tyson Fury. All y'all points that y'all bringing up, I agree with y'all. But if I have to pick who has more pressure on this fight, I have to go with Tyson Fury. Because if Wilder loses, a lot of people are like, yo, he never had skills anyways, just whatever. You know what I mean? But if Tyson Fury loses,
that's just whatever.
It's cool. It's cool. I get it. I know y'all love it.
Nah, yo,
bro.
I'm not. Argument, bro. I don't want to interject, but I really want to speak on this right now.
Yeah, go ahead. You got the floor, Ned. This your
whatever. Go ahead.
Go finish. No. That's what I asked. I want.
Wait. We want Yo G.
I want your whole.
We want you to finish, G. We want you to finish.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Another thing is now if Wilder wins, right? Then in the decisive man, let's say he knocks out Tyson Fury, right?
One punch.
Let's say one punch. Let's just say one punch, he knocks out Tyson Fury. Then what happens is all of those Wildettes and all the Fury haters, now they could be like, yo, you see, it was legitimate. There was something going on, blah, 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 blah. Right? So then now it's almost like an asterisk behind the rematch. Nah, this is just my conspiracy talking. I'm just saying, there's a lot of that are going into Tyson Fury having to win versus a Wilder. I'm be honest, if Wilder loses, it goes, all right, yeah, you lost to the guy that was already your superior. You get what I'm saying? But if Fury loses to Wilder, and everyone's like, yo, Wilder.
That's a straight double talk if there ever was one. So, G, this is all I want to point out to you, the double talk. You said that if Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury, right, that the Wildettes of the world are going to be like, see, Fury had to cheat. There was no way he could beat Wilder clean. So why doesn't that create pressure on Wilder to prove everything he's been saying? Because if Fury beats him in the trilogy, it's to prove everything he's been saying is garbage.
All right, Kaden, are you not listening to me? I'm making an argument for more pressure on Fury's behalf. That's why I said, if you listen to the Trill, he brought up a lot of points, right? For both arguments. I'm just making a conclusion. I'm just saying, hey, conclusively, I'm picking Tyson Fury as a person that's under more pressure.
All right. Why you got a crap on me, G?
Wilder has it. I agree with what I'm saying is I'm letting
unlike Trill, I'm picking.
I didn't even mean I'm just making it. I'm just making you understand. There's pressure on both gentlemen. I'm just answering the question of who's under more pressure. And my number one thing is $100 million is a lot of pressure. Everything else is just add-ons. So everything y'all are saying about pressure for Wilder, that's cute. But Wilder doesn't have a guaranteed $100 million bag. So to me, it's always going to be Fury has more pressure than Deontay Wilder because of that Saudi Arabian guarantee.
I see my man Ned.
Yo,
we gotta let Ned get in there, Ned.
Yo, hand me the guillotine, man.
Yo, guillotine style, Ned.
First, I want to say, whoever loses this fight in the trilogy, AJ will never fight the loser again because all the antics they pulled when he was reached out to set up deals to fight them. Second, I feel they both are under pressure here. There's a lot of money on the table that Wilder has to redeem himself to regain that fight with AJ, that big bag, the mega fight that we all wanted. And then Fury, yeah, so feels like it's a walking part, but he also has that big bag at stake if he loses. Because once again, AJ's not going to deal with him if AJ's not going to look for a fight if he has nothing to offer AJ if he loses. Third, I feel Wilder's under a lot of pressure for this third fight because he blew the bag with AJ. Then he came out with all these excuses, and Fury has all the energy. Like, yeah, we don't know what Wilder got in the bag right now, but Wilder has there's no more bomb squad, there's no more screaming, there's no more yelling. All of that is out. That flame is gone. Like, in the press conferences, I want to see what he can say to Fury to get in Fury's head, because all Fury had to say, man, you said I put stuff in my gloves. Man, you said your trainer, you did this. Fury has all the tools to get into this man's head to get him unprepared for the fight. So if Wilder loses, it's over. It's done. His limelight is gone. Like
Wilder's gonna skip the press conference.
Yeah, he's gonna ride off into the sunset. Yo, there's no more Deontay Wilder after this. Like, once he loses, it's done. Like, you can't say anything. People are gonna just boo, get out of here. If you're gonna check his gloves. My trainer Malik Scott gave him my videotapes or something like that. Come on with more excuses. Come on now. All Wilder has to do is sit there and be quiet. And if he's really that quiet assassin, if he can really develop that quiet assassin, I think so. As soon as he starts chatting with Tyson Fury is gonna get right back in his head, move right back in, and it's over. And that's the pressure right there. And now you lose the fight. You can't redeem yourself. You lose the rematch. You lose your big bag, and it's over. It's done. It's done. And then, like we all said before, if he loses to Fury, then it's like, yo, I got you. I beat the crap out of you. I get my rematch again. I get the fourth fight. So it's all on Wilder's shoulder.
So you're saying Wilder
is under immense pressure right here? Yes.
All right.
Look, I'm gonna just keep it a buck with you. The mighty have fallen, and it's just a thing of beauty. It's glorious to see the mighty fall. Because I remember being in a position where Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz. And when all this was happening, I had predicted, like I said, I think Anthony Joshua would beat Deontay Wilder. So Andy Ruiz beats Anthony Joshua, and I remember just how the wild debts of the world exploded. Oh, he lost to the fat dude. Yeah, see, he could never beat Wilder. It was like Andy Ruiz beating Anthony Joshua somehow made Deontay Wilder beat Anthony Joshua. And they were just going on, just talking so much smack. And then I remember when Wilder picked Tyson Fury. And I remember the trash talk between G and Ned, because Ned was a straight up AJ fan. And all the Wilder fans just thought Wilder was just this thing. Wilder was being promoted as the hardest hitting puncher in boxing history. Wilder was being promoted as the man who was going to tie Muhammad Ali in title defenses. Deontay Wilder was a heavy favorite to beat Tyson Fury. I remember when Tyson Fury did the American circuit, him sitting on a Breakfast Club and Charlemagne the Fraud talking about, oh, Deontay Wilder's going to destroy you. Deontay Wilder's going to do all this. And Tyson Fury was just laughing, spoke about mental health, talked about how he overcame obesity when he was 400 pounds, talked about how he overcame drug addiction to get back in the ring with Deontay Wilder. And then in the fight with Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury got a draw that many people thought he won, including myself. I scored the fight for Tyson Fury by 1 round. I thought Deontay Wilder won the first round. And there was like a close round in there that if you gave it to Wilder, it could be a draw. So again, I don't call a close fight a robbery. I scored it for Fury. I thought Fury won the first fight. And even in the draw was viewed as a victory for Tyson Fury and an L for Deontay Wilder. Remember, in the first fight, Fury had 2 tune-up fights. Sefris and who was the other guys? And Francesco Pina. He had those 2 guys, fought those 2 guys and Deontay Wilder within a span of 9 months and got a draw. And then in the rematch, I was extremely confident based on what I saw that Tyson Fury was going to destroy Deontay Wilder. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I would ask you this. Who was under most pressure in the second fight? Was it Tyson Fury or was it Deontay Wilder? Obviously, it was Deontay Wilder. He was the guy being promoted as the hardest puncher in boxing history. He was the heavy favorite. He's the guy that for the last 2 years, everyone's been comparing to Anthony Joshua. And then he got embarrassed. He's corner threw in the towel, which is the worst way you can lose a fight as a boxer because it's like, your corner had to save you from destruction. Your corner had to save you from being basically murdered, is the way it's portrayed. So that's how he lost. So now you have Tyson Fury, who overcame obesity and drug addiction to come and draw with Deontay Wilder, then beat him in the second fight to become the WBC champion. Now, in the trilogy fight, if Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury, what are people going to say about Tyson Fury? That's going to be negative. You're talking about a bag. He can get more bags. Look at what he overcame.
That's a big bag to get more of.
Okay, G. That's what you say, right? But here's a fact. Deontay Wilder's already fumbled the bag. He fumbled the $140 million offer from the zone before he ever fought Fury. Then he fought Fury, which he was supposed to win that fight. And he got Fury at the right time because he did drop Fury twice because Fury was inactive. But then he couldn't close the deal. And then he got him in the second fight and Fury destroyed him. Fury exposed him. Fury undressed him so badly to the point where Deontay Wilder really had to look in the mirror and say, I can't box. I got to learn how to box. The problem is at 36, you're trying to learn how to box against a man who valued boxing skills his entire life. So now, going into the trilogy, you keep talking about this bag. What I'm trying to tell you is if Fury loses the trilogy fight, it will be the first loss, his first professional loss.
Mm-hmm.
He's the man who dethroned Vladimir Klitschko. His legacy's already solidified. Listen, fun fact about Tyson Fury, he's held every single belt you can possibly hold in the heavyweight division. Fact, whether you like him or not.
Mm-hmm.
Never defended it. Never defended him. But he has held every single belt you can possibly hold in the heavyweight division. Fact. Another fun fact about Fury, he never lost those belts in the ring. Fact. Deontay Wilder has held one belt, held that belt hostage. Deontay Wilder has, let me make sure that what I'm about to say is correct. Deontay Wilder has never beaten a man who won the title in the ring. He's only beaten guys who's fought for vacant titles. Never beat a man like Tyson Fury. Never beat the lineal. See? And people want to say, oh, well, Tyson Fury can't beat the lineal because he never beat Lennox Lewis. Fine. I agree with that. But Lennox retired. What do you want them to do? He's beat the most significant fighters you can beat to that point, and that guy was Vladimir Klitschko. He beat him. So if he loses to Deontay Wilder, you can say, gee, he blew a bag. He's still going to get a bag for fighting Deontay Wilder. He still made one of the greatest comebacks in boxing history. That's going to be added to his story and his legacy. In the end, if Deontay Wilder loses to Tyson Fury, the bag is blown, G. Whether you like to admit it or not, Wilder blew a bag. Not once, but twice. He blew a bag twice.
Okay, can I respond?
Okay, go ahead.
So now, if Wilder blew the 140 million deal from because he took the rematch and lost.
No, he took the first fight.
The offer was during the first fight or the rematch?
The offer was before the first fight.
It was before. Oh, okay, all right, but nonetheless, because it was a draw, then the second fight. So now that offer's gone. Like it's like gone. There's no offer right now for Wilder, correct?
Yeah.
So Tyson Fury, though, however, had an offer. I don't know if they could still salvage that deal, but a potential offer from Saudi Arabia for the 75 to 100 million, whatever, right? That's current. Wilder's thing was the past, so it's almost irrelevant at this point. Wilder
it's not irrelevant because you're overlooking the fact that Tyson Fury got that offer because he beat the brakes off of Deontay Wilder.
Wilder wants that bread. It's never over when it's 100 million.
You keep trying to undermine the fact that Wilder got whooped. You're trying to make it seem like
I never said that. It has nothing to do with my argument. My argument is strictly financial. Currently, Wilder has no offers. That's the argument I'm making. Tyson Fury has an offer on the table. Now, if Tyson Fury loses this fight, what happens to that offer? I don't think so.
Okay, so remember this. Tyson Fury had an offer on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And Deontay Wilder is the reason why he's not going to fight Anthony Joshua, because they said he has to fight Deontay Wilder a third time. Now he could offer step aside to Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder saying he don't want step aside. And this is where I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm in their heads. Like I said, the Wilder fans will say, yeah, he doesn't want step aside. It's all about retribution. But what if he really did want step aside?
Now, Bob said that he never received any offer from them about step aside.
Okay, I'm again, I don't know. Like, and I'm not acting like I'm in people's heads. But my point is, what if he did want it and Fury never offered it to him? And Fury was like, I'm not paying him, so we're just gonna have to get it on a third time.
Mm-hmm.
My point to you is this, though. You keep talking about what was offered. Just because that's an old deal doesn't mean that he didn't lose that money, G. And this is where
no, that's not what I'm saying. I think y'all misunderstanding my point. He already lost that $140 million deal from the zone because
in the pursuit of making more money in one fight.
Yes, of course. But the reality is he gambled on himself and he lost. So now,
yes,
getting that back.
So his loss was Fury's gain. The loss, his goal was to make 100 million in one fight, and Fury beat him and inherited that profitability. Like he inherited the ability to make 100 million in one fight. So Wilder would have been in that position had he won. So Wilder lost the gamble already. Is my point. Now Wilder gets a second bite at the apple. At the gamble, and you're acting like there's no pressure for that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm leaning on the side of who's under more pressure right now. Tyson Fury, who already has the guaranteed bag, or Deontay Wilder, who has the potential to inherit the bag. Me, I go, the pressure is on the person that already got the guarantee. But I hear what you go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
So you're saying there's like so Tyson Fury, who has he has the bag in his hands right now, or in his grasp, is under more pressure than the person who lost a bag and is probably going to eliminate himself from ever getting that bag.
The bag's already gone. That's
no, but I'm saying there's a pressure. Like, you not seeing that? Like, there's no coming back.
There's no point in me going
back. G, you act like because the bag is already gone that like there's no pressure. The bag's not already gone, G. You know when the bag is gone? When he loses the trilogy, dog. That's why like what you're saying to me is so annoying, because what you're trying to do is alleviate pressure from Wilder. Bro, the bag is still on the table until he loses. And you know that. Because if he wins, you and all the Wildettes of the world are going to be arguing he should get 50-50 with AJ.
He should, but
okay, thank you. Thank you. Hold up, because you've been. I know for a fact I didn't let you rock the lot longer uninterrupted. So if you're going to make the argument that he deserves 50-50 with AJ if he beats Tyson Fury in the trilogy, you're admitting the bag is not gone.
No,
so don't stop saying the bag is gone.
No, that doesn't make sense. You know why? I could be fighting for Wilder to get 50-50. Doesn't mean Saudi Arabia going to offer him that bag, bro.
Why does that have to come from Saudi Arabia, bro? Saudi Arabia was the option because COVID and because people couldn't pack stadiums. But as you know, the COVID restrictions are being lifted. In fact, they're about to be like 17,000 people in the Garden in Boston tonight when the Celtics play Brooklyn. So Saudi Arabia was the ends to means. It was, okay, we need upfront cash because we can't get no gate money. Well, now you can get gate money, so you don't necessarily need all that to come from Saudi Arabia. Now that's one.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Has Anthony Joshua ever made $75 million from one fight? Outside of this fight and the fight that he did in Dubai.
No.
I could have sworn they said he made $80 million in the second fight.
It's Andy Ruiz, but I think he's talking strictly. I think he's talking strictly like
because that's oil. That pretty much what I'm saying is that's oil money. So it's like they could throw away all of that money because it's not.
Here's the point I'm making, G. I'm not trying to spend too much time. I'm not trying to spend too much time on it.
Go ahead.
Your argument is that the $140 million offer is gone, so he already lost the bag. My argument is that's ridiculous because if he wins on July 24th, he's going to be asking for 50-50 with Anthony Joshua, and that fight would actually be more lucrative per fight than the deal he was actually offered back then. So a win on July 24th, he would actually make more money in one fight with AJ than he was going to make on the original deal. So for that reason alone, the bag can't be gone. To act like the bag is gone and so therefore there's no pressure is to try to alleviate pressure from Deontay Wilder. But anyone who understands and knows,
you wasn't listening to what I was saying.
You weren't listening to what I was saying, G.
I am listening.
Here's what I know, bro.
I agree with what you're saying. But what I'm saying is this. You're talking about the potential, the possibility. I'm talking about Tyson Fury has that in reality right now. He actually has a guarantee from the Saudi Arabian prince. Yo, this money is for you versus Anthony Joshua. That's a guarantee. What you're talking about is the possibility of Wilder getting that bag. You don't know for a fact that Saudi Arabia wants to deal with that. Not to mention, they could be on some like, you know what, we don't even want this fight anymore because of what happened with this trilogy. You don't know. It's not a guarantee. So
here's what you're missing, bro. He has 75 million, like you say, in a bag, right? And so that's the offer. And you're claiming that because he has that offer in the bag, there's more pressure on him to fight Deontay Wilder a third time. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So here's what I'm saying to you. I don't agree with that. Now, I don't agree with that because I still feel like there's more pressure on Deontay Wilder. Even if Wilder beats Fury in a trilogy, okay, even if Wilder beats Fury in a trilogy, that would be his first professional loss to someone he already beat. They would have drawn one time, he would have beaten Wilder one time, and Wilder would have beaten him one time, right? So it would have been like all the possible outcomes, and people would be saying, well, who will win a fourth fight, right? Now, if Wilder goes and fights Anthony Joshua, and Joshua beats him and beats Deontay Wilder, Fury would still make a boatload of money to fight Anthony Joshua because people are going to say, well, he only lost one time to someone he beat. And just like you're talking about the conspiracy, how people are going to say, oh, well, it was Glovegate was the reason why Fury won and all the conspiracies were true. All the Fury fans are going to be saying he couldn't get up for Wilder. He was sick of Wilder. He thought he was going to fight Joshua. You see how all these circle things work both ways? Here's what I know, and here's the fact. At the end of the day, when you audit Fury's resume, it holds up. Fury has been unified champion before. Fury has held every single belt in the heavyweight division. Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko in Germany, and he beat Deontay Wilder in America, and he's fighting him for a second time in America. Deontay Wilder wouldn't even dare fight Tyson Fury in the UK. Come on now. So let's be real about it. Tyson Fury is already cemented as a legitimate heavyweight champion because he's the lineal in Ring Magazine and the guy who's held every belt. Whereas Deontay Wilder is the man who's only beaten the vacant championship man. He beat Bermain Stavern, who beat Chris Areola, which that's no disrespect to these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But they are not the elite. They're not the upper echelon. Anthony Joshua has already beaten better fighters than Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury has beaten better fighters than Deontay Wilder, and he's beaten Deontay Wilder. The consequences for Tyson Fury losing this fight, G, is maybe he doesn't make as much money, right? But he's going to be seen as legit. The consequence for Deontay Wilder losing this fight is he's going to be viewed as a fraud by the boxing public.
Which he already did.
He's also going to be looked at as a sore loser who made all these excuses, who raised all these conspiracy theories, went in the ring and got battered again. Listen, for all you guys who used to make this argument that he's the hardest puncher in boxing history, that he was the greatest thing, the worst thing that can happen to Deontay Wilder is him getting beat by Tyson Fury again in his third fight. Because all of you are finally going to have to lay in that coffin while the Anthony Joshua fans nail that mother effer shut.
Put no dirt on the casket.
So at the end of the day, there's more pressure on Deontay Wilder for me, and I'm just going to close it like this because I really didn't get the chance to make all my points. When I look at who's under the most pressure, I feel like who can recover from the loss. Wilder cannot recover from the loss. Wilder has to prove he's not a broken man in this fight. Wilder did things that you haven't seen any other fighter do in the history of the sport of boxing. He made claims, excuses. He threw the ref under the bus, threw his trainer under the bus, threw the athletic commission under the bus, threw everyone under the bus, then went to court to get the same fight against the guy he claimed beat him with egg weights in his head. And now if he gets in that fight and he gets knocked out again, he'll never recover from that, bro. He already proved he's psychologically weak. His resume's been questioned for years, been a joke. He can't recover from that. Fury recovers from a loss like that. I'm telling you, Fury recovers from a loss, especially because he already beat Deontay Wilder. So for me, when you asking who's under the most pressure, I'm saying who can survive the L. Fury can survive the L. Wilder must win this fight to prove to his legions of fans he was robbed, to prove that he's a legitimate champion, to prove all those things. And you keep talking about a bag. These dudes are already rich, bro.
One more thing. Okay. Wilder really blamed his stylist, yo. I'm done.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe and check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. I actually could have sat here and listened to this on and on and on. This was a good conversation. We are the Boxing Bros.
You're welcome.